Oh, there's somebody. Hey, there's somebody. Hi there. This is your Sensei Al Bob, and I'm here at one of my favorite breakfast spots, the Oak Room, and I'm just had my breakfast. I don't have as much money. This is right in the middle of my, you know, I get my check, and then I have to make it last. I live on $481 a month for food, gas, insurance, healthcare, taxes, phone, internet. $418. Can any of you live on $418? Yes, $81. 481. Anyway, so that's the ride. The ride coming. Uh, artist. Artist here. Hello. What kind of artiste are you? Uh, uh, Art is the only thing that, I've been reading. You know, I got lots of books, and I've been going through them, and I kind of, put them in boxes. I put them plastic bags, put them in boxes, put the boxes in plastic bags, and then put them on pallets, and wrap them up in um, tarps. And so over the years, most of the books have survived pretty good. Some not so good. And but I put them in the sun, and they kind of came back to life. But they're like really old and crinkly, the ones that got all wet. But so I've been reading a lot, and what's interesting is I've been reading uh, Franz Boas, French Jew from Europe, came to America, turned the 19th to 20th century. He was like me, an itinerant scholar. He taught at many, but he mostly did research. And he was at Columbia, and he basically, at the turn of the century, I mean, you think Donald Trump is bad? Oh, please. He's Mary Poppins compared to what, was going on with, you know, Eastern and Southern Europeans, folks from German, um, and we had this thing where we would sterilize people if we didn't like them, or just out and them, which is kind of what Jim Crow did. And the Nazis, where the Nazis got their ideas for the death camps was they came to visit us, when they were at war with England, and we weren't quite in the thing. They came and visited good old Prescott Bush, and we're getting ball bearings and exotic lubricants and all kinds of things. And he was getting lots of money. Actually, this is, George H.'s daddy and George W.'s granddaddy was, a Nazi sympathizer, along with people like, uh, you know, what's his name? Henry Ford. And there was a guy, I forget his name. There was this thing called the Dillard Commission. Wanted to know, when with this gigantic influx of immigrants were coming into America, how they were going to, who comes in, who stays out, who do we want, who don't we want. And the Dillards basically said, white people top of um, the thing, and there was a guy, I don't think it was Dillard, but there was this other guy who, in the latter part of the 19th century, went out to the West, and he did the line of Buffalo and all of that, and the wolves. and he helped start, you know, the conservative movement of conservation. But when he came back to New York, he saw all these Europeans coming into New York. He felt that the white people were like the buffalo, that they were being threatened, you know, and that they were going to be taken out, and we wouldn't be a white predominant country. And he was all for the northern Europeans, the English, the Norwegian, the Finnish, and Anglo-Saxon. That's what he wanted. And if you go back and look at the history of our First Amendment, which was all about um, you know religious freedom, um, basically every state in before the United States, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Maine, you know, Delaware, Virginia, they all had state-sponsored religions. Up there in New England, they were the Presbyterians, the South, the Baptist here in uh, Virginia and Tennessee, and anyway, so America has been always like what it is right now. White people in control. But see, demographics is catching up with the white folk. And, you know, um, Johnny, I did a video on Johnny's channel a month before the election where I played Donnie Chump. And I was like in an undisclosed location underground. And I said, and I'm the last white person left. And I just went on and on about how Donald Trump was, the singular reason why white culture kind of died. And it's true. What's happening is Obama was not any better than Donald Trump. Really wasn't, He just he was putting people in cages and coming off the border, etc. But Donnie does it in such just the optics, just, the stuff that Obama did, nobody knew what he was doing. He didn't make a big deal of it. If Donnie put down his Twitter the day he took the oath and said nothing, he'd be considered the best president America ever had. But he's going to be like, Mike Pence is going to be one of the last presidents, if not. Because if Biden runs against Donnie, bingo, hands down, Donnie will win. Then Donnie, Donnie's diet is not the best. He's going to die by cheeseburger. And the powers that shouldn't be going to let it happen. They're like, here, Donnie, have some more cheeseburgers. All you want to eat. Oh, we have this great dietary chef down there, but okay. Melania will eat that salad, but here's some more, Popeye's chicken, So get ready for Mike Pence as president, and then, all you guys should be watching that TV show, Handmaid's Tale on Hulu. Anyway, and so that's kind of where we are. So. So I've been rereading Franz Boas, and his cadre were people like Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead, and the most amazing was Zora Neale Thurston, and she was one of the luminaries of the Harlem Renaissance. And I used to live in Florida. I used to have a little place in a town called Stewart, which is where all the white cracker power people live. People thought the people in Jupiter Island, where George H. had his house, that's where the power was. But no, Stewart was. And above Stewart, there was something beach, and then there was the Turkey Point reactor, and then there was oh, this town, Port, Port St. Lucie, and it had been a black town. It had been a on the Chitlin circuit, and it had been quite an affluent black town. Then World War II came in, and because it was a port, they built a shipyard for Liberty ships to just knock them out. So everybody and his brother came there, and so the black community got kind of disrupted. And then after the war, it kept the flotsam and jetsam of everybody, not just black people, but white people and everybody else who worked in those factories, but couldn't travel forth. Anybody could get out, Otherwise, they were like stuck there. And so, hey, buddy, I'm doing a live chat now. Why don't you come and visit whenever you're in the neighborhood? Whenever. Okay. Stay well. I love you. So I put up a little thing on my videos. What are you reading? And those are the books I've read this week. Reread them all quite a bit. But Zora Neale Hurston was first. She was well known as a novelist, and she wrote a book called "Their Eyes Were Watching God," and it's like a anthropologic ethnography. Right? Then she went to New York and got into dancing, got into painting, writing more novels. Like she became the queen of Harlem's literary intellectual renaissance. And then she went to Columbia because it was right up there, and bumped into these guys, right? Franz Boas and Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead, and Ruth Benedict was quite. So Ruth Benedict and Margaret Mead had a lover's relationship, for all of their lives, for 30, 40 years until Ruth died. And Margaret Mead lasted longer than any of them. That's why she's pretty well known. And Margaret Mead wrote a book, Coming of Age in America Samoa. She wanted to understand the angst of the teenager. So she went over to America Samoa and basically realized, and these guys were wearing a grass skirt and everything, but she realized that they were as sophisticated as anybody in New York City, white, black, whatever, right? And Ruth Benedict, she wanted to look at the story of sexual orientation, and she went to American Plains and Indians in the Southwest. And she realized that, the American Indians wasn't just guys and girls. It was the rainbow between, So there were all kinds of transsexuals, there were gays, you name it, the Indians had it, and it didn't bother them whatsoever. If you read Aristotle and Plato, the same thing with the Greek city-states, within sexuality, it was like, hey, whatever floats your boat. We only have this disruption of cultural mores. So the small little bit of who own everything, the white men, can get everyone against each other. And that's what we're seeing right now. For a while now. Well, artist, I am always here to serve, right? Loves co-creation, right? And I'm a human being, so I can get, I'm living on $481 a month for everything. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I'm out in the woods, but it's really beautiful. But what's really sad is that, so I've had this little splotch, and now I don't. My lawyer actually has it. I own nothing. To get just the piddling I get, I had to own nothing. To get the kind of healthcare I have, I had owned nothing. Zip, zilch, zero. Right? So it's a hard situation, but it's also a blessing because to have nothing is to have amazing freedom. So every night I go to sleep. I lay my head down on the ground, and there's lions, tigers, and bears all around me. They could eat me anytime they wanted to. There's my biggest thing is the raccoons, and they're respectful of me. They don't bother me physically. They go in my little piles of stuff and just rummage through it and throw it all over the place. And since I've been there, every time I'm there more than a week or two, they will. That first week, they want to show their, who's the boss, and then they ease up on it, especially once they realize I have no food, and I don't. That's what's keeping me thin and trim and healthy. Now, when you eat as little as I do, to once a week come to a place like this and have a waffle with fresh fruit and fresh whipped cream and beautiful coffee, it's not bad. I've been keeping my blood sugar in around the 90. I'll go back and I'll check it out. It'll be up to 147, right? But, don't need any more of this carbohydrates, and I'll be fine, right? So, but it's a real blessing to have nothing, right? Because it truly connects you to all our relations. And that's, where I live amongst all my relations, they're all there. And what's really interesting, so my little square, so you have to take a dirt road out to a paved road to the, county road. And so about from my front door out to the county is 5 miles or so. But the county road, they trim the sides of the roads, and they have this big, gigantic machine. It just goes, chews everything up. I mean, trees, right? So it takes up branches, and they don't cut them with a chainsaw, so it's nice. It just rips them apart. And they spray the Agent Orange to the 10th power along the roads. And the people who have houses along the roads, all dying of cancer. But hey, they're poor and they don't care. And real estate people want them out of there so they can sell the land to the rich. The rich are fine. It kind of goes in a circle and kind of comes around to this place where, the rich are, rich come here, and then there is no internet, there is no cable, there is, because Sawtooth Mountain, there is no satellite unless you're right on top of the mountain. And even then, because the satellites are not above us, but off on the edge, it's, you may not get that. So that means all you can do in my neck, and there is no radio. I mean, late at night, I can get AM bounce, which is amazing because I can get everything from Toronto to Ireland, from, Alaska to Mexico City, and it fades in and comes out, and it's like time travel. And it's listening to everybody's, it's not the homogenized, iHeart radio. I mean, it's from all over the place. So it's, so, say what? Mm-hmm. Well, are you there? Can anyone hear me? Can you? My little thing says unable to connect to chat. Try again later. So are you guys there? Anybody home? Well, go read those folks. Go look at that little video I did saying, hey, what are you reading? Read those books if you can find them. Read anything by Franz Boas, Ruth Benedict, Margaret Mead, and definitely you should go read Zora Neale Thurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. Their Eyes Were Watching God. Anyway, so anybody there chatting? I'm going to wait for 2:22 to sign off. Unless somebody comes back and says something. Anyway, well, I'm glad that somebody's watching something. Hope you're reading books. Hope you're interacting with your neighbors. Start coffee shops. Is not being nice. Well, okay. Well, there's a third person there. I mean, somebody showed up. Anybody else? Can you chat to me? Tommy, can you hear me? Hey, third person left. How about give me another thumbs up, subscribing? Let's get more subscribers. I got over 700 shows. Go back and watch them. Okay, there we go, 2:22. I love you guys. Sunday, I'll try and come on Sunday. Here it is, Wednesday. I'll try and come Sunday. If there's anything in between, I'll try then too.